Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. It is Monday, August the 1st, 2022. Two African American icons died over the weekend, and we remember NBA superstar Bill Russell and trailblazing Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols. Russell was 88 and Nichols was 89. The Black press pauses to remember those two icons. This morning, more than two-thirds of young adults in the United States live close to homes that they grew up in. A new Census Bureau and Harvard University study found with Latinos, Black people, and those from low-income families who left home only moving a short distance away. Also, let's talk about Will Smith's apology, where some are asking why it took so long. And the big trending topic this morning remains Renaissance and Beyonce. It doesn't come without a little controversy. We discussed all that this morning with Lafayette Barnes, the publisher of The Bridge, a Washington Informer publication, and of course, Denisha Totally Randy Bell, a media personality with the Houston Forward Times. Good morning, Denisha. Good morning, Lafayette.
Good morning.
How you
Happy
guys doing?
Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday.
We start off though. We certainly want to pay tribute to the great Bill Russell. Bill Russell, of course, was not only an 11-time NBA champion, but he was also a civil rights activist. We remember Bill Russell this morning. Sad news, he passed away at the age of 88. Lafayette, I know that today they talk about LeBron James being the greatest, and a few years ago it was Kobe. A few years before that, of course, it was Michael Jordan. There are many who argue that the greatest was Bill Russell. He won 11 NBA titles. I don't know how much Lafayette follows basketball. I know Denisha follows everything. So, but Bill Russell, from a younger generation standpoint, what did Bill Russell mean to the younger generation?
Well, I would say that like you said, everybody's arguing about LeBron James or Michael Jordan, but obviously you have folks like Bill Russell who led the path for these superstars today. So I mean, we certainly respect our elders, and we're proud to have the foundation of someone like Bill Russell in the NBA. But I think, unfortunately, like a lot of the young folks aren't really into the history. I don't think there's been a lot of passing down of this information. And as you said, I'm really not the biggest, follower of sports actually either. So obviously I know about Bill Russell, and, he's a legend. And I just hope that, we can find a way to keep his legacy alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denisha, I will come to you for Nichelle Nichols. She was the first Black woman to have a leading role in a TV series. She later worked with NASA to recruit minorities for the space program. She told a great story. I want to share that story. She said early on in the Star Trek career, she was thinking of, in fact, she had quit the series, and she went to an NAACP fundraising event. And at the event, someone came up to her and said, your biggest fan wants to talk with you and wants to meet you. And she's like, well, who's that? And they said, we'll take you to him. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And she told him about quitting. And he said, no, you cannot quit. You can't do that. We need you to represent us in that way. And she went back to the producer and the director of the Star Trek, and she got her job back.
Right. First of all, shout out to my Trekkies out there. Yeah, I grew up watching Star Trek. So being so young at that time, like watching it with my dad and things of that sort, being so young, of course, I'm seeing that representation on TV, but I thought about, like, when I got the news yesterday as well, I thought about like how much all of them, Bill Russell and Nichelle, went through, to not only just have the career, but also dealing with Black issues.
Yeah.
You have to think about trying to mix that together and then being in a space where there is no representation. And so it's just, it's mind blowing almost to kind of fathom that we feel like we don't have so much freedom, but like think about what they were going through. and you're like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
did.
it's really motivating to see, you know, her life and to see her push through all of the issues that they were working through and still have that career and still say, hey, it's important for me to represent young Black women in this space.
Yeah, Lafayette mentioned respecting and knowing these elders, these icons, and as you pointed out, Denisha, Bill Russell, Nichelle Nichols. You could think of others, Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, of course. What they went through, um, and they were at the top of their game. These were among the best in the business, and but they went through racism. They went through other issues. You know, when they traveled, they had to stay in separate hotels. They couldn't go to certain, despite the fact that they were stars, they couldn't go to certain restaurants. It was tough for them, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate, you know, to celebrate them. I just feel like it's almost as if they need an extra celebration, almost like
Yeah.
their career is separate from that. You know, like we need to celebrate them twice over because who 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 overcomes that and still be great. Like I love basketball, by the way. I know the girls out there sometimes fake loving sports, you know, just to get with the guys, but
Is that what
I
happens?
actually love sports.
You heard that, Lafayette?
Right. So yeah, like you know, you think about Bill Russell and drafted, you know, second overall. Like just what it took for him to get there, just to get to the NBA. You know, it
Yeah.
takes discipline, it takes training. You know, a lot of people sometimes don't. The younger generation, not to like get hard on them, but sometimes they don't put enough emphasis on training and learning their craft. You know, sharpening their skills. They don't put enough emphasis on that. It's like almost they want popcorn type of you know, a popcorn type
Yes.
of way of doing things. Like I want to do it fast, I want to do it quick, but sometimes you have to really study, you have to train, you have to put it in. So knowing that, you know, he was so great, think about the discipline it took for him to become that.
Yeah.
In the words of a modern poet, Meek Mill, it's levels. There's levels to this. Okay, so just you got to respect Bill Russell. You got to respect the goats. All right.
Right.
I love that. See, this is why we have Lafayette. That was awesome. Wow. So we definitely remember the greatness of Bill Russell, the activism of Bill Russell, the greatness of Nichelle Nichols, and the activism of Nichelle Nichols. So certainly two icons, again, respectively, 88 and 89 years old, lived a pretty long and fulfilling life. They were very inspiring to so many. So the Black press does certainly want to remember them. The trending topic today, of course, and probably will be for some time, Denisha, is Beyonce. The new album Renaissance has taken the world by storm, as expected, with a healthy helping of Chicago house music and classic 1970s disco. Music experts have called Renaissance a tour of some of the genre's most well-known touchstones, as well as more underground sounds. The album immediately soared to the top of Apple Music in 100 countries. 16 of those songs on the album are in the top 20 as far as Apple Music is concerned. And the debut enjoyed a record of more than 43 million streams on Spotify. That's Beyonce for you, right?
That is, you know, she makes Houston very, very proud. Born and raised in Houston, I love that Beyonce keeps us on the map. Okay. And she says all the time, if you want to know about her life, listen to her music. And she really did make some waves with Renaissance.
She did, but she also caused some controversy, right? Lafayette, you know, Khalees, and everybody knows Khalees. Khalees is now a chef. She's a big time chef, but we remember Milkshake. We remember I Hate You So Much Right Now and things.
Bossy.
Bossy. Yeah, we remember all of that. Exactly. And here's the thing, Khalees is saying her beef is that they sampled her song and no one called her. No one and it doesn't all fall on Beyonce, because there's some history there with her and Pharrell and the Neptunes and Khalees. Here's the thing with Khalees: for years she has been speaking out about things just like this in the music, and she's been t- open about being abused physically and otherwise in the industry. As far as with the Neptunes, though, there was a huge beef, Lafayette, years ago. They didn't credit her on songs, and so somebody, it seems, Pharrell, Beyonce, somebody in the camp should have reached out. What do you think, Lafayette?
No, certainly, I agree. Watching the music industry, we see a lot of our artists get trampled, get taken advantage of, and so certainly within our community, we want to keep that away. It's unfortunate that Khalees has had to, recognize this hypocrisy in the industry. She talks about her relationship with Beyonce, her relationship with Pharrell, and I think that as these are two of our most successful artists in the music industry, not only in Black music but in all music, they have the opportunity to change the game and to change the narrative. And unfortunately, I think this is just another eyesore as far as our dealings with the music industry. Hopefully, they can come to some conclusion. I know they have a lot of history. They're all professionals, and hopefully, they can solve this, and everybody can come out amicably. I'm a fan of all three of them. And I really am, excited about the resurgence of dance music and Chicago house music, with Drake's album, with Beyonce's album. I mean, I think we need to be able to, own more of these spaces that we started. So it's unfortunate that's being, muddled with the controversy. But I think, they're all professionals, like I said, and hopefully they can figure something out.
Yeah, and it's a shame, Denisha, that you have this issue come up at, I mean, this, as we said at the top, the records. Beyonce has, in many ways, and this is no slight against the King of Pop, but she certainly has just exceeded everything Michael Jackson has done.
Yes. I love the King of Pop, so I don't like to I don't like to compare, even though Beyonce represents my hometown. She really is. Jay-Z said it a long time ago, and he kind of got dragged for it a little bit. He said Beyonce is the greatest entertainer of our time. Mm-hmm. And she is. A lot of people, she's not the best singer. She's not. We get it.
Well, Denisha, Rolling Stone named her the greatest living entertainer.
Yes, she is. She definitely is. The thought process, the work ethic, the design. She stays up. And if you see, this is not something I'm speculating. This is fact. You can go back and look at her documentaries. Go back and look at her interviews that she does, and she'll tell you her process of how she creates and puts music together, puts shows together for her fans. Now, I do want to give Khalees a little bit of grace, because I feel like social media has not given Khalees a lot of grace. Khalees did mention that she does not own the record, and obviously for whatever issues she have with Pharrell and Chad that she called an amoeba. Yeah. I thought that was hilarious. But she did mention that. So everyone was saying, well, Beyonce doesn't owe you a phone call because you don't own the record. What Khalees was coming from was basically an artist to artist general principle type of thing where, hey, I don't own the record, but if you talk about women empowerment, you're an artist yourself, can you just give me a courtesy call?
And listen, and truth be told, she should have owned the record in the sense that, based on what they went through, what she went through with the Neptunes at that time, it was kind of, I always want to say apparent that, as she claimed, because there was really no rebuttal to the claim, that they tricked her, as she said, and this are her words, they tricked her out of that, and there's artists, Prince used to be the trailblazer in fighting for artists to own their own and to have possession of their own, material. Right. And we see again how important that is. But as far as phone calls, I think Lafayette was shaking his head. Yes, I think we both agree that based on Beyonce's her power in itself, like you said, the women empowering, but Beyonce, the entity, Beyonce, the icon, it would have been seems advisable that she herself would have placed that call, say, hey, we're using milkshake, just so you'll know, so she didn't have to learn it, right? The way she learned it. She learned it the way we all learned it, right? When it's dropped. Is that, I mean, Lafayette?
Yeah, it's got to be the worst way to learn something. You want to hear, you'd rather hear it from your peers. You'd rather hear it from somebody you trust. You want that line of communication. As you mentioned, Kelis has entirely changed her career. She's in a whole different path. She's minding her business. She's taking care of, the health and general, physical wealth of our community. And now she gets blindsided with another controversy, and a long string of controversies, apparently. So, as I said before, it's as great as these artists are, it's just unfortunate that, these practices still occur and that, they're not able to escape from that. I mean, I wonder, and not to go too deep into a tangent, but, I always look at like celebrities and who they're endorsed by, who they endorse, like who they partner with on deals. And a lot of times when you're at this level, I don't understand why the business has to be outside of your circle, like, if you're coming out with your own shoe, if you're a multi-billionaire, you don't need to partner with Nike. You could just make your own shoe, so if you're doing your own business, you can have your own lawyers, you can have your own system, and you can actually right the wrongs or not participate in the messed up system that has been created. So she had that opportunity. I think it's a shortfall. It's already a controversy on top of this album. We would love to just be enjoying the album and dancing in the street, but now you're splitting the community up. So, there's certainly some issues there, but I think they're all professionals. I think they'll get to the bottom of it. I think it's important for Kelis to speak on it. And obviously we're talking about it, so it's reached the community. And I think, they're all do the right thing. So that's,
yeah. Right. And Jessica Hopper, who is an author and director of the docuseries Women Who Rock, I should say, notes that the exploitation of young artists, especially of female artists, and even more specifically of Black female artists, have been a practice in the music industry since its inception. And she says, because it's Beyonce and she's rightfully a genius who has really remade pop music again and again, people have really reduced this into a Kelis versus Beyonce thing, and it's not. She says Kelis has always been telling the truth. This is not a new story about her or her career. And when we reduce this to Kelis versus Beyonce, and people saying Kelis should just be grateful that Beyonce even credited her, when really this is about something that has a much longer history for Black women, especially as performers and songwriters. And Denisha, I'll give you the last word on that topic following Ms. Hopper's take on that.
Definitely. I tweeted that I wish Kelis did not, when it first happened, I tweeted that I wish Kelis did not tweet that, vent to your friends about it. Because sometimes I feel like as a culture, we air our dirty laundry out in front of the public, and it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve a purpose for us. But as things went on, as time went on, I can understand why she probably did it. It's not a Beyonce and Kelis thing. It's definitely not. But and I love Beyonce, but I have to say, as tapped in as she is, especially after it came out, The Dream said that the Miss Honey clip Beyonce found. Someone asked, did you find the Miss Honey clip? He said, no, Beyonce found it. And again, going back to her documentaries, going back to her interviews, when she talks about her process, she's up looking. So who found the sample? If she thought Kelis was the legend that she is, that's why she sampled her, then yes, it makes sense to give her a phone call and not for Kelis to find out, because how we took it, how the public took it, which is how Kelis found out, is that they were working together.
You're right.
So they're singing her praises like, hey, Kelis is working with Beyonce. That's great. This is two legends, two living legends. But that's not how she found out. So I understood why she took it public. And unfortunately, I hope that they are able to come together. Like, I hope the result happens, right? Like we see what happened with the controversy, but I hope the result is that those two women come together and they work to help artists not to be in the state that Kelis was in.
And hopefully it is as public as this little feud, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
And so, and I think we have a responsibility for that as well. Also, this morning, Will Smith said he was fogged out and that he finally reached out to Chris Rock to formally apologize for the infamous March 27th Oscar slap. He says it's all fuzzy. I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. Um, Chris Rock went on stage a day before that and talked a little bit about the slap. And then after Will Smith's video apology the other day, Chris Rock went back on stage and called Will Smith. He said he's Suge Smith, as in Suge Knight. Lafayette, Will made a comment that he says that, Chris is basically the ball's in Chris's court. Is that really the case?
I don't know what's going on with our guy Will Smith nowadays. I mean, he went from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to the Slap Prince of the award show. I don't know what's going on, but I hope that he gets it together. I think that, it's a moment of, I can't think of the proper word, but he needs to do some more reflecting. I know Will is like one of those guys who's going to go and do the reflecting. He's going to go and do the work, red table talk, whatever he needs to do. But the math is not mathing right now. It's not adding up. You're lucky that you're this major celebrity. If you were anybody else in the world, we would all be, having a fundraiser to try to get you out of jail somewhere. So, I mean, I don't know. I just wish the best for Will Smith. I really can't vouch or explain any of his actions. He's an enigma. That's the only way I could describe that.
Denisha, he again absolved his wife Jada Pinkett Smith of any wrongdoing, any having anything to do with the incident. We know that it was all because of the alopecia, and she felt insulted. But a lot of people, including a lot of women, are still saying, hey, Jada was very much a part of what happened. Your take on that?
I believe that when you make a decision to get up and walk and slap someone, it doesn't matter. Like, it's almost like your kids, right? If I got up and I hit someone, doesn't matter who was egging me on, who was instigating, or who was saying, hey, go and take. My mom doesn't care about that. That was a decision I made. I do want to say that this incident broke my heart a little bit, Stacey, because Will has had a 30-year career. 30?
Yeah.
Can we think of any time he's had an issue? And this slap has dropped him so low, in the eyes of the public. And so I'm not really focused on Jada. I don't care what she said, what she did. He made that decision, and it's hard. I mean, who can have a 30-year career with no incidents, no scandal? That it's hard, but I wouldn't put that on Jada.
I wouldn't say no scandal.
Yeah.
But certainly
not no scandal, but you know what I mean.
Well,
and I would say also any scandal that exists that I'm familiar with always has something to do with Jada for some reason. From the Tupac scenario to what was it, like what's the young R&B thing there? It's a lot. Everything we got, all our opinions about Will, not all, but a lot, have been rooted in actions of them as a couple and outside. So I wouldn't say she's blameless, but she certainly can be a part of the solution. How about that?
That's good.
Go ahead, Denisha. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a good way to put it. I would say, and I guess I never looked at it that way, Lafayette, because again, he didn't do anything so drastic. Obviously the Tupac, rumors came out. We still don't know if it's true or not. People speculating on that. The August Alsina, though, that really did put a dark cloud over Will's head. But it didn't change how we viewed him. With this slap, it changed how the public viewed Will.
Yeah, Chris Rock said the other day. He says, I'm not a victim. He said, yeah, that hurt. He said, but I shook that off and went to work the next day. I don't go to the hospital for a paper cut. It seems like for Chris, this thing is, he needs that time. And you can kind of understand it, right? Because here he's in front of one of the biggest audiences that television has, the Oscars, right? Live, doing his job. He was actually physically assaulted at work in front of the world. And for a man, especially, that ego, and not to say Chris Rock is wrong for not accepting Will's call, because I don't know if Will and I could ever speak again after something like that, or anybody, but because that was really a blow on so many levels. And he Will Smith did say in his apology that one of the things about the moment that he just didn't realize, he says, I was thinking, but how many people got hurt in that moment, because he apologized in his video the other day to Chris's mother and to Tony Rock, whom he said he had a great relationship with, a great friendship that he doesn't believe will be repaired now. So it was it wasn't just that assault on Chris Rock, it was an assault on many others, right?
So in Washington, D.C., we have rivalries that have been going back generations on generations, because somebody slapped somebody back in 1972, and now we're still dealing with it. So, I don't know where Will, what his what his idea is as far as how apologies work and how, things are mended, but it's always when you're apologizing, it's the person you're apologizing to that has to accept your apology. You can't just apologize and you're washed of what you do. So,
because Lafayette, he says, and if you hang on, I promise we'll be friends again. That's not his call, right?
Exactly. And that's what I mean. So, Chris has to come to his own conclusion, his own reason for wanting to forgive Will. It might not be an apology, it could be some epiphany somewhere at some other time in life. But that's just something that Will has to deal with. That's why, our parents teach us not to get up and do these type of things, because you really can't predict, what's going to happen. And so certainly, we've always had a great opinion of Will Smith, and I still do, to be honest, but certainly it did humanize him, and I guess make his life a little bit, not necessarily, this is like talking in in a small window, but making it seem like he's less aspirational. But obviously Will Smith is one of the greatest of all time, great black
doubt. The talent is, yep.
And so we can't take that away from him, but it certainly just makes that conversation a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, no doubt. His talent is, there's not many who's as talented as Will Smith. And as David Youngblood writes in, he says, we all dread the thought of your entire life being judged by an isolated moment in time. And Denisha, that's a true statement, right?
Yes, it is. And that goes back to, what I was saying earlier about having that 30-year career and him being viewed, like Lafayette said, inspirational, and especially as he got older, right? Because cool young Will Smith, summertime, Jazzy Jeff, Will Smith was cool. He didn't curse in his raps, that kind of thing. And then as he got older, he became this social media motivational type, inspirational type guy with the still acting, great actor. I Am Legend. He took the first half of the movie by himself. Really great, right? And then this incident, absolutely. But again, to what you were saying, that same quote can apply to Chris Rock, because if we're gonna keep it honest, especially in our culture, you can't get up and slap a black man in that space live on TV and people not look at him as weak.
Yeah, it's true. Well, join us tomorrow. We will talk more about why the young ones are living closer to home nowadays. But we also talk with an expert tomorrow as we discuss cryptocurrency and what Black America should know about cryptocurrency. Thank you so much, Denisha from the Houston Forward Times, Totally Randy, and of course, Lafayette Barnes, the publisher of The Bridge. Join us tomorrow as we discuss some really, really interesting information about cryptocurrency in Black America. Thanks for joining. Let it be known. We'll see you then.
Certainly.